like there's just something calling me that I need to do this and I need to have this achievement and success. Like to me, this is success and this is a huge achievement. That'll probably be the biggest achievement of my life, running a 42.2K run. And a lot of it to me, a lot of my self-worth is attached to that because I've always been big on sport and achievement of things. And I know recently there's a lot of things I haven't achieved or, like I said, not committing to. And that's like lack of self-worth and lack of achievement.
Alrighty guys, welcome back to the 5,000 week journey. My name is Ayrton Sudholz and we've got Colby here on the left and Blake on the right.
How are we doing?
Absolutely sensational, as always. How about you guys?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'm swell as always.
Swell. I love how we're using
great.
these great words.
Great word. Swell.
Sensational.
I'm feeling very serendipitous today.
Awesome. Today's a special episode. And to introduce the topic, Blake, is we're going to be interviewing Blake because Blake is running a marathon this week.
Yes.
And he hasn't had much training. So was it 30 days now?
30 days training. It's only been 26 days?
26 days. And
it's this Sunday. So I'm actually 4 days out.
Yeah.
From the big day.
That's crazy. I personally would not do that.
That's crazy. I asked you to do it with me, didn't I?
Yeah. I can run 2Ks. That's what I've got up to at the moment. And that's
right. You'd start small and then you work your way up.
Yeah. But obviously today we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it. But throw it to Colby. What should we ask Blake first? Because we're going to put him on the pedestal today. It's really about him and what's this achievement he's working towards. Because it is freaking, like just seeing him in the background in the last month, it's been amazing just to see his dedication towards it.
Well, I think we should ask the question, just the usual question that everyone will always ask and that everyone wants to know, and that's why are you choosing to, and what made you choose to do this 30-day training up to marathon, the 30-day marathon? Yeah.
So basically, I guess it all started. Well, not all started, but so since I was very small, I'd always played footy every single year. Never missed footy. Always played footy. All the way up until last year, after the season last year, I decided to quit football because it was actually too much for me to actually do video, my business, and footy at the same time because footy takes up 25 to 30 hours. But I'd always had an interest in actually doing long distance running, marathons, triathlons. But when I quit footy for 6 months, just about, I had done zero exercise, barely any gym, barely any running, nothing. And then I noticed this around mid-February. I'm like, man, I just feel sluggish. I feel lazy. And I just wasn't happy with where I was at. And so I remember it was just after my birthday. And I was like, you know what? I just need to pick a day and run a marathon. And then because I also do YouTube, I thought of it in a way of okay, what would be a great achievement to do? It'd be giving myself 30 days to run a marathon, which is basically what I've done now. And it's been a good experience. It's been fun and it's been quite up and down and I've learned a lot about myself. The main goal past the marathon is actually just getting back into exercise and becoming a runner and doing these crazy things. The marathon, although it was an out there goal, it's also about just getting myself back to being fit and doing exercise, which I love, but I just drifted away from because I'd always had training, but now I've just never committed to it.
Yeah, because on the subject of you being slow and sluggish, I didn't want to say anything, but
yeah, mate, you'll get the bit. Couch potato is the headline, isn't it?
The dad bod.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was one day I went up to Blake and I was like, hey man,
what's going on?
How old are they? How old's the kid?
No.
Oh wow.
I've always been skinny. I never had even when I was lazy, I never got big or anything. I was naturally skinny.
That's all right, mate.
Yeah, lucky you, mate.
Maybe lost a kilo of muscle.
Nonetheless, back to seriousness. So obviously that's why you did it in the why. And what have you found has been probably the hardest part of trying to prepare for a marathon in 30 days? What do you think? What do you think's been? What are a couple of the hardest things? Do you reckon?
It's just the consistency of training. You have to do long runs consecutively because in preparation for it, you go for 1 hour long runs. And, in the weeks prior to that, I was using that time doing something else. So now I had to find an hour almost each day or each second day to train. So the first thing was actually the consistency in the training. The second thing was the food. And I thought it'd be great. I'm like, man, I get to eat so much more food. And I saw a nutritionist. And once I actually started cooking the meals he gave to me, I've barely finished a meal. These are like massive 3-course meals that I have to eat. So that was actually tough as well. And that contributes to like changing your diet. I mean, I know Ayrton and I cheekily go out and get some food.
Mate,
how many times
my
did we
PT
get?
better not be watching this, but I do not follow the food.
Even in
100%.
my nutrition plan, you would try to
Mate, let's go.
convert, and you successfully did.
Just like today, we're going to Snits after this, aren't we?
Not me. I'm 4 days out. I gotta eat clean.
He has been good the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he has.
I am a bad
I
influence.
got 2-on-1 trying to twist my arm.
It's sneaky snits. That's not what no harm's going to do to you, is it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
get a
Because the marathon's this Sunday. I
get a salad.
have to be careful.
Get a salad, man.
Yeah. An interesting question I want to ask is like, because we had the conversation when you first started. So it's like for me, it's the first thing I've seen you've committed to the longest. It's interesting. What is driving you to follow through with this? What do you think is like the actual thing? Like obviously there's health and fitness, all this stuff, but what's actually driving you to get to this, the 28th? Obviously that's the date, but why? Like what's driving you?
Yeah, because that was one big thing I identified was that I struggle to commit to things. And I always, like if I say, I'm going to do a video once a week for 10 weeks, generally by the third week I'm already behind schedule. So yeah, I wanted to do something publicly, not to be like, hey, look at me, I'm running a marathon. This was more for me for accountability. I remember after the first week, I actually freaked out a little bit and I was like, shit, I actually have to run this marathon.
Yeah,
I can't.
I would just look like an absolute fool.
Yeah, literally. So I've sort of put myself out there quite literally just to force myself to do it. And I've done like promos, I've done photos. I've literally told so many people and now it's all over my Instagram and everything. So there's literally no going back. So I've sort of put myself out there. But yeah, I've like I said, I've always struggled to commit to things. And even this was very hard to commit to with a lot of the training and the programs that I implemented. And it was quite tricky. I'll admit, at least at one point, halfway through, there was like 5 days in a row where I consecutively, 4 or 5 days in a row where I consecutively didn't even run. I was still eating my nutrition plan because I sort of started making excuses like, oh, I'm a bit busy, I'll just do it tomorrow. And then I remember finally going for a run and I went for like 60 minutes. And while I was running, I was telling myself like, why the hell did I just do that? I literally just wasted 5 days and I sort of beat myself up over it. In a good way though, because it sort of pushed me and I've kept on my training ever since. But why do I do it? I think it's a lot to do with self-worth. Like it's really helped. There's just something calling me that I need to do this and I need to have this achievement and success. Like to me, this is success and this is a huge achievement. That'll probably be the biggest achievement of my life, running a 42.2K run. And a lot of it to me, a lot of my self-worth is attached to that because I've always been big on sport and achievement of things. And I know recently there's a lot of things I haven't achieved or, like I said, not committing to. And that's like lack of self-worth and lack of achievement. So a lot of it I've tied to that as well as, and it's a great outlet as well. But yeah, I've tied a lot of that to it. And that's a big why.
Well, it is definitely an achievement because you've committed to this. You've said, I will do this, and you've followed through. And commitment and follow through are, two of the most important things that you can possibly make sure are a component of who you are. So, it's awesome. I think it's great. You've set this goal, and rather than just sort of get started and be like, I'm getting there, like a person who commits to fitness for a New Year's resolution and then spends a year paying for a membership they don't use. You've committed to it, and I think that's totally awesome. And it's great progress. Obviously, I've kept updated with your your Strava post and all the other stuff, and see you increasing the length of the runs, doing really well, getting some good speed, and I'm super keen to see how it ends up. I think it's going really well.
Yeah. No, it's going to be good. I'm in a bit of angst Is that angst means bad news, right? Bit of.
Oh, you mean anxious? You are
Are you
anxious?
dropping a
I don't
bombshell?
know.
on
I'm trying
podcast?
to.
I think you
Say,
mean,
I'm trying to say a fancy word.
I think you mean you're a bit anxious. Angst.
No,
is,
not angst. As in like I had bad news happen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I already told you guys about this as well, but
No, it's the first time I'm hearing.
I'll
guys.
address it
Yeah.
again.
I'm shocked.
You guys, it's first here on the podcast. We don't even know about this.
So prepare yourselves, guys. You might need to sit down.
I'm sitting
Thanks
down.
for sitting down. So yesterday I went for like a 14K run and I was completely fine. Like, felt great afterwards. And then today I was like, I still got to go for like a 30 or 45 minute run. And then put on my shoes. Don't laugh this time, Colby, but I Vaselined my feet because that helps with. You have to put Vaseline. I got a blister on my foot, so you got to Vaseline your feet and you got some good socks.
It just sounds.
These
so
are all the
weird.
things that I learnt running. So from experts.
Slathering Vaseline all over your toes.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's actually really like I'm gonna do it more often now.
I like some Vaseline on my toes.
That's exactly right. And then I probably ran about 600 meters and I had to stop. And I felt this huge, sharp pain on the inside of my right foot. I wouldn't say huge. It wasn't massive, but I could definitely feel it getting worse. And I didn't feel it this morning, but I still feel it now a little bit after that 600-meter run. So I messaged my PT that's giving me advice, and he does marathons and runs as well. He just said, you need to start massaging it with a tennis ball and just literally, don't run until the marathon. And I was planning on doing 3 more runs from now to the marathon, like today, tomorrow, and maybe a quick one on Friday and Saturday. So now my next run won't be until the actual marathon, which is unfortunate. I'm seeing the physio tomorrow. So like the big takeaway is like I'm doing the marathon no matter what. You break my leg and I'll crawl it over the finish line. I'll walk it. If everyone goes home and it's nighttime and I'm still running, I'll have the camera to myself and I'll finish that marathon. That's one thing for sure you can count on. But it's not good. I knew an injury was going to come because when you're doing 0 Ks per week to 40 to 50 Ks per week, like a simple person would know that that's bound to get injured, like progressive overload. Like I've just screwed that up because I've just overloaded myself. Yeah. So it's actually not a smart thing to do. Yeah. Giving yourself 30 days with no prior training of 6 months of no running, definitely not the best idea.
I don't think. I think what you had was a fine idea. I just think the fact that the days of 0 running were in there is what did you in. I think if you consecutively rose it up, you might have been all right.
But you need I've talked to a few people, and they said you need at least 10, 12 weeks to progressively overload. Because if you go from 0 to like a bunch of Ks, it's a lot of hardness on your joints and tendons, which you haven't built up yet.
They'd know better
which
than
is
me,
why they
so.
say like your first week you might do like 10 Ks total, like a bunch of 3K runs, and then the next week you add it to 11 Ks, 12 Ks, 14 Ks, and you actually build up the weeks you do. It's called progressive overload.
Yeah, that's probably why.
But
I've
I've gone from 0 to 40.
That's probably why I got shin splints.
Yeah, you're gonna manage. Yeah.
Well, no. What I did is I didn't run for ages because I had a huge work project for a month, which obviously you guys will know all too well about. So I stopped running, and then I got back into running, and I decided to do like 6K runs with a 20 kilo weight vest on to get back into running.
How far?
About 6Ks.
With 20 kilos.
20 kilo weight vest, yeah. So these would be long runs because I couldn't run particularly fast at the time.
Crazy.
I'd go out for like an hour and a half. Sometimes more because I'd have to walk because I'd be like, oh my God. But I got shin splints.
Yeah.
It was
because it's not your normal body weight.
It was bad, yeah. Or I've run with a weighted vest before when I was younger when I did CrossFit and I was like super fit, which I want to get back to.
How old are you now? 25?
Yeah, 25. I could do it. It's just like I built into it when I did it before, where this time I was like, oh yeah, I haven't gone for a run in a month, haven't done any exercise. Let's chuck a 20 kilo weight vest on and do a 6K run. I did the run. It hurt. Then I had shin splints. But then I stopped doing it and did normal runs for a bit, and then they kind of went away. And now I'm trying to get back into the weighted vest. But yeah, like it's awesome. I guess you're probably right. It is a little bit of an overload. But hey, you're doing it.
What I love about it is the mindset thing. It's as I shared before, it's the first thing I've seen you commit to. And like we had this conversation like a month ago. And I think it's a valuable lesson for a lot of people. It's like it's not the marathon that it's the idea of you completing something. That's what I'm saying. Like it's a commitment. It's like you've had enough, and like the marathon is just one thing that you're committing to, which is really cool to see. And I think an example for what I did a couple of years ago that it built this consistency of getting shit done. Did 130 days of vlogging. It wasn't the vlogging that I was really wanting to do. Like it wasn't really the end outcome of doing 130 days. It was the commitment. And I think that's like a really, really powerful thing that anyone can take away from this. And this is why it's really cool to see you're in the process of doing it. You'll notice once you've done it. It was not the actual day of the marathon. It's the commitment of actually doing something that you've said you're going to do. And doing that in itself builds that resilience. Like to that next thing, it's like, well, you know what? I did that thing. I can do anything. And I think that's why it's really cool to see. Because like, yes, you're going to get fitter and healthier and maybe have some sore legs afterwards. And you're going to complete the marathon. But it's going to build another layer of mindset level for you of commitment, which you'll take into other areas of your life.
Yeah, because that's something I asked you about the other week, which I almost don't understand. I'm like, how are you so driven? Because you're naturally you sort of naturally, but you also worked at it a lot as well. Like I guess no one's naturally anything. Like you can be naturally good at something, but you've definitely worked at it and you're a very driven guy. Like I don't know who vlogs for 130 days in a row.
It is horrible. Do not do it. It's
because as soon as you say so, that's why you're scared to almost announce things. Because as soon as you say it, you're like, now I got to do it. Like you twitch when you don't do it. Like you literally feel uncomfortable when you're not doing something.
Yeah, if I say I'm gonna do something, like I'm gonna do it. But that's like I wasn't always like that. And that's why it's really cool to see and that's why we talked about this at the start of when you're doing this. Like if you really commit to this, it's not just the marathon. Like this is something that's gonna set you up for life. Like it's a commitment thing. Because this is the first thing you're doing. It's like for me, the vlogging was one of those things. Even when I first started my first business, I quit my job and went all chips in. And like this the analogy is like you're all chips in on this marathon. Like you've already told everyone on social media you're doing it. You've already committed to it. Like if you back out, you've already burned the boats.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing to go back to. Like if you don't do it, you feel like a shit. You feel like you failed. But you just attempting to do it is you already succeeding. And I think that's a valuable lesson that people can take away from just seeing from you doing it, like the inspiration of you doing the marathon. But it's like if you want to be successful in anything in life and you're wondering how do you get motivated to do it, you got to burn the boats. Like you've got to be fully 100% committed to it because otherwise you give up. Like the reason why people fail in business, fail in relationships, fail in life is like they're not fully committed to the thing. They're not fully committed, so they give up. And that's why it's so cool to see. And that's why I'm like, I'll share all your content and I want to see it and I'll be there on the day. It's not the actual marathon that I'm most proud of. It's more of the commitment I'm proud of seeing you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'll be there, man. I'll catch the train up to see you run some
run
circles,
a lap with
man.
me.
I'll run a lap with you, man, for sure.
I'll run one lap.
me and my shit.
I'm not rushing to run a 42k marathon. I've started doing
maybe one day.
I started doing 2 to 4Ks.
I will run with you until I fall over. And then I will.
Full marathon.
Then I will cease running with you.
I think expanding on what you said, I think just like late last week, I actually sat down and thought really long and hard about if I didn't announce this to everyone and didn't tell anyone, would I have still committed to it?
Nope.
Probably not.
And I
Straight
think,
up no.
And the reason why I say no as well is because I've done this before. I told myself I was actually training for a half Ironman once, a triathlon. Around end of 2019. There was one in like December. Trained for about 2 months, and then I slowly fell away from it a bit.
I knew you,
and then I couldn't
I didn't know about it.
Huh?
I knew you then.
Exactly. I didn't tell anyone. I told like my dad, and that's it. He helped me with the bike, and I couldn't afford. One excuse I made was that I couldn't afford the entry fee, which is again bullshit. But like I never told anyone. I never told you. Didn't know you then.
Why didn't you tell me?
But that was like an instance where I was training for something, and then I never actually saw it through because during the training, it's like a 90k ride, 21k run, and it's very lonely when you're training. For that one, it was very lonely. For this one, it's been a little bit better, but I just think it's important to announce your goals, not to be like, hey everyone, like I'm doing a marathon, like cool, look at me. It's more like the marathon to me doesn't like, it means a good achievement and it's like awesome to have like your friends there and everything because it's a big thing. But
it's also
it's an accountability thing.
It's about saying it out loud so you can hear it as well.
Yeah.
So you can hear it yourself, hear your own proclamation of what it is that you're going to do.
Yeah.
It's definitely not anything about being like vain or being like, hey, look at me. It's just about like, this is me. This is what I will do. This is who I am, and I will stand by this statement of what I will attain. Because
there's a difference between me announcing it and people being like, hey, good luck, blah, blah, blah. And then when I go to train, you're alone. Like sometimes I'm with my girlfriend, but still like when you're running, you're alone and you're with your thoughts. And I've really had time to like analyze those thoughts, and it's been very interesting. So,
and touching on that, this you can relate it to like you think about the top sports athletes. What did Muhammad Ali say he was before he was
the greatest?
Yeah. So it's like that belief that this, like, you're not saying the greatest runner, but you're saying you're going to achieve this marathon. You're going to do it. Yeah,
you are a marathon runner.
Yeah. You're embodying the identity of it.
That was something that I started embodying, and a situation came up with my girlfriend about that actually. So just because I hadn't been running at all, and basically the goal out of this marathon, yes, it is to achieve the marathon, but for me personally, it's to become a runner. After this marathon, I don't want to be like, all right, I'm done that. What's next? I want to keep running and do more races and keep doing my hour-long runs and running 3 times a week. To be like literally what you said, I want to embody it to become a runner. So like, I remember I had done like 1-2 runs or whatever. And then my girlfriend was sitting there, and I basically said, I don't even know what we're talking about, but I basically said, oh, because I'm a runner, I blah, blah, blah. And she goes, you're not a runner. And she didn't mean that to put me down. She's just saying like, you've run twice, you're not a runner. And I stopped her literally mid-sentence, and I was like, I am a runner. I know I've only done 2 runs, but I'm becoming a runner. No, I'm not becoming a runner. I am a runner, because that is what I'm identifying myself, and that is what I'm going to do. So every time I say that from now, I want you to acknowledge it and agree with me. And like, there's nothing on her part. And so every time I say I'm a runner, she's like, yeah, you're a runner. Like, and like, she like goes along with it, and it's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But that's like pretty much what you said.
I think that's
how important is that?
Yeah, it's so freaking important. This stems back to that question you asked me the other week. It's like, why are you so driven? Well, I identify myself. I am driven. I identify that.
I am a driven person. Yeah.
Like even when and this is 2016. I just in the process of starting my first business. It's like a quick story to make this so relevant. My ex-girlfriend at the time, I kept saying I was an entrepreneur. And I was like really starting phase. Like I hadn't even got a business started. Like I hadn't had ABN. I wasn't making any money.
No logo.
Spending more money. No logo. I had a logo. We had this thing. we was starting this Facebook page. It was just this idea at the time. It's all stemmed into now starting a video company. But I was embodying that I'm an entrepreneur. And I even, to my boss, he's like, I said I'm an entrepreneur. And I would say in my videos, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. I didn't have a business. I was working towards it, but I was embodying it. And she said to me sometime, she's like, you're not an entrepreneur. And I said, yes, I am. And like, it actually, it's caused like a pretty much a breakup, right? At that time. But I stood my ground and said, yes, I am an entrepreneur. Now, if I said no, I would have given up. If I didn't, first of all, believe that I am that person that I want to be at the very starting point, I wouldn't be where I am today. And that's the same with you running. And this is the same with like Muhammad Ali, even LeBron James in basketball. Like he wants to be the great, think about it. Like if you guys I don't know if you both follow basketball that much, but LeBron James is one of the best basketball players of all time.
Well, Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan's up there, right? The same principle applies to Michael Jordan, but the same with LeBron James because he's still in the league, right?
Yeah.
He's still the top player, in the league. He is 35. He's going to be $1 million basketball player by the time he finishes his career. He has enough money that he doesn't need, $1 billion. He doesn't have to work at all. He doesn't have to pick up the basketball. He could just play and earn a shit ton of money. But he still goes out there every night and plays his best games. And he's injured at the moment, but ideally he's aiming to win another championship. Why? Because he's chasing. He's chasing to win, to be the best version of himself. Because he identifies himself as the best player ever. That's what he is identifying himself as. And that that he is the champion. And that he's King James. That's why he calls himself King James. King means the best. So he embodies that. And since he came into league, he has. Interesting, if you know guys, a guy called Ben Simmons, this Australian basketball player. Nothing against the guy, but he's a new, fresh basketball player. He's number 1 draft pick. The last couple of years, he's a good player, but he doesn't have that same hunger as King James, like LeBron James. He's like kind of got to the NBA and he's made it and that's it.
Yeah.
He's not aiming for champions. He's not playing his best games. Some games he
Yeah,
plays shit.
he's like, oh, I've made it. I'm
But
done.
LeBron James, just one example, is other basketball players as well, plays every game to the best of his ability. It's because he identifies himself as the person he wants to be. And that's the same for like you. It's like you're identifying yourself as a runner. What does a runner do? A runner shows up. A runner runs marathons.
Runner runs.
Right? I identify myself as an entrepreneur or a business coach. And I identify myself as a successful business coach. I show up in there. And this is like for anyone that's listening. I love talking about this. I'm going to just give some value to the audience. Is like you first need to decide what you want to be known as and identify that and be that person now. Don't wait till you get there and then be that person. Be that person now. Because the person who's like a CEO or the runner, they have to start being that person now because otherwise you'll never get there. Because there's no end destination to, one down, then I'm running. No, you decide today and then you get better at it. It's like that's embodying. It's like it's a mindset shift. And that's what you've done. That's why it's so powerful to see. Like the biggest lesson I think for you in the next couple, like when you're on the marathon, is this change of the commitment to it, but also the fact that you've embodied it. I think it's just super powerful.
And I think what's important is that works the opposite direction as well. When people say, "Oh, I'm always late," or, "I'm always not on," I'm always eating a lot, or like something like that. People can always negatively identify themselves as well.
Yeah.
So if you're late, stop saying "I'm always late." Just be like, "I'm going to be earlier from now on." Like you got to twist the words and re-identify because that's really important as well.
Yeah, I get to work on time. I'm not. I'm always late. It's all right. I'm gonna be a person who gets to work on time. I get to work on time.
So on this journey, Blake, of this marathon, tell me a little bit, like obviously we've gone deeper around like embodying being the runner. It's obviously not easy, but tell us a little bit about like the mindset where you're in. Like you haven't run it yet. Like we're still there. We're still in the process as we're filming this. By sometimes when people are going to be listening to this, you probably run it. But tell us like the journey from you going from where you were at the start to where you are, because you're pretty much in the middle towards the end now. Has there been some like moments you're like, fuck this, I can't be fucked?
Yeah, it happens almost all the time, eh? It's but it's sort of just
because at the end of the day, you don't have to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's actually not it's not like a marathon you've registered to pay for and you're losing it. Like if you don't run this, no one else. I mean, I'll be like, fuck man, why aren't you doing this? But there's no obligation for you to do this. It's like you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just stop?
Yeah, it's I don't know. For me, it's like, well, firstly, what you said, why don't I stop? A lot of like self-worth, I've always tied that to sport and working hard. So I feel like it's almost hard to explain. It's just like this deep desire of something that I need to do. And yeah, like it's been really hard. There's so many days where I remember I get home at like 5:30 and I've just been out all day and I'm laying there and I'm like, oh, I need to run tonight because if I don't run tonight, I can't do this tomorrow and I'll be off track. And you literally just have to, I don't even know what it was. Like, it's just, I just think about the deadline. I'm like, 14 days out and I need to go for a run tonight. Like I have to do this. I must do this. So a lot of that was like the urgency factor did help me do that because it's so close and such a small goal. I'm like, I have no time to waste. I need to do this now. But yeah, you know what? The actual running is fine, bro. Like once I start, it's fine. It's the hardest bit, as everyone would know, is actually putting on those shoes and changing from the state of me chilling right now to I'm going for a 60-minute run. Because that sounds dreadful when you first say that. I got to go for a 60-minute run. But if you try and redo it, like some things that helped me is like, okay, you know what? I trick myself. I'm like, I'm only going to go for 10 minutes. I'm just going to put my shoes on. I'm going to go outside. And then I do that. And then I start running. And then as soon as I start running, I'm just like, whew, let's go. I'm going good. And then actually, when I hit an hour, I'm like, I might go another 10 minutes. I'm good. It's that change of state that's the hardest bit. So what were we going to say?
Yeah, the first step is always the hardest in anything, whether it's running, no matter what it is. Like taking that first step out your front door is always the hardest part of the run. But one of the things that I remember you telling me, which is probably just a good thing, perhaps not directly based on the marathon, but a good thing to talk about nonetheless, is one of the things that you told me is you were talking about how ever since you started running, you actually felt like you had more energy, and even though you had less time to do the things you need to do, that you were actually more productive. So, since we're actually here and now, you told me about that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Now that you've gotten a bit further and we're actually not far from the marathon, do you feel that that's carried forward and that it's made you more productive, sort of this, running and committing to this? What do you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. So, like I said, like before I had just all my time, and now all of a sudden I had to put 6 hours a week away to run. And I thought I'd be more tired, less productive. But there's something about exercise that I'm sure people can vouch for. Like after a run, you always feel good, and you actually, at least me anyway, if I do it in the morning, I always have energy throughout the day. It's like my body's giving me more energy because I've expelled more, so I can actually get through the day. So I always find that aspect of like, actually. Sorry, I'm cutting out. You said the question again.
So you lost the word?
Yeah, I just lost.
I was just asking. So basically,
again.
I was just going. You were talking about how you feel more productive.
Oh
Do you
yeah,
feel
sorry.
like that's carried forward?
So I was talking about running. Yeah, so it's definitely helped me in that aspect. It's just the mindset of it has actually helped me. So I was thinking about one side. So actually running has built up, like I'd say, my mental strength, because when you're running, you sort of talk to yourself. You're like, I'm an animal. I can run all day. Like you sort of like get inside your own head. And because you've completed that exercise, you get those endorphins and that rush, and you also like feel good. So yeah, it just that aspect of building up your mind through exercise. Because I remember hearing in this study where they talk about like weightlifting and stuff, and what your mind tells you. It doesn't say my bicep can lift heavy when you're lifting weights. Your brain says, like, 'cause when you lift weights, your brain's like, I'm strong. I'm strong every time you do a rep. So when you consistently do that, your brain doesn't know the difference between you just doing a bicep curl or you being mentally tough, having to focus on a task. Your brain just thinks I'm strong, whether it's physically or mentally. So actually doing the running and committing myself to this and telling myself like, I can run a mile, I can do this marathon, and actually doing all these like I cans has built up my mind strength to be like, I'm a strong person. So that's like, and because with running, you got to focus as well. So that's helped me focus in other areas of my life that doesn't have running, because it's built up my mental strength in one area and it's carried over to other areas of my life, which I found really interesting.
I run.
It's interesting to touch on the health side of it, because like I don't run, but I exercise
Every now and then you do. Oh, you ride a bike.
I've started running. I've been on a health journey the last 6 months, and as an entrepreneur, it's so important to be at my performance, like peak performance. And I can contribute. Like I've lost 16 kilos in the last 6 months. I'm not running like you're running, but I am consistently doing exercise. And I know that adding exercise into my daily routine, half an hour morning in the walk, half an hour in the morning, as soon as I get up, right, start the day, half an hour at the end of the night. That's the minimum that I do. Plus, and then I go to the gym. Just doing that, I've been more productive. I do less work now, but I'm more. When I do work, it's more focused. It's not like I'm clouded and I'm trying to get everything done and like I'm rushing around and my mind's foggy. Like, but it's because the exercise. I've added as health food as well is very important. This is why it's really cool that you're noticing this, because I know your tagline for this run is like the couch potato, from couch potato to marathon.
Couch bum to marathon.
Yeah, couch bum, right. Because like, I'll be honest, like you were.
I'm naturally
like
a
you live at
lazy guy,
home,
yeah.
and like there's a whole other topic we could talk about. But like, not to diss you, but you were in a bit of a sluggish stage, and like when it came to work life, like you're tired, and you're getting up at, I don't know, it used to get up 8, not even that, 9, 10, and like this time, it's not really the time, it's more of the energy that you take in. You'd vouch for like, adding an exercise in, now you're more excited to get, like, I know you've been getting up early in the morning because you have a drive for it. But the exercise is helping you get there. And like, I'm no sports scientist, but I've worked with a couple of health people, and like, I know for me, especially in the entrepreneur side of things, that for me to perform better towards my goals, adding that health element as a focus, I don't have to be a marathon runner, but making it a priority each day to work and exercise. Like, it's the first thing I do. I get out of bed, I go for a walk. and it's phenomenally changed my life. Like I've lost 16 kilos, obviously food as well, but now I'm more productive. Now I get more shit done and I'm happier, peaceful, and all those things come from it. And I just have a much greater life because of the exercise. And that's why it's really cool to see you doing it, because like you've gone from the couch guy to now marathon runner.
Yeah.
And that's why you're continuing running, because you know now, and you can see it, that the power of it, of what it's doing for you. And I think that's for anyone that's listening. It's like, if you're in a rut, it doesn't mean you have to do what Blake's doing, decide you're going to, like maybe it's just like, hey, I'm going to do 30-minute walks each day.
Yeah.
Minimum, starting point. Like, and if you did that for 30 days, and it's like, you know what? I'm a walker. I'm a 2K a day walker. Like I had a conversation with my mum just before, and I was talking about, you know, I walk every single day, twice a day. And like I've embodied that. It's like I walk twice a day. Someone asked, how much exercise do you do a week? I walk twice a day. Instant response. Not every single day do I get it, but I make sure I do. Even sometimes it's like it's 9 o'clock at night, I go for a walk. Because I've embodied, it's like, I know that's me now. And it's a habit. And I think that's really important for listeners.
And I think expanding a little bit on that, when you said about the laziness, like I'm very lazy person naturally. I'm trying to be better. I gotta re-identify. I gotta rechange
So he
that
says,
word.
I am a very lazy. Just listen to that. I am a very lazy person. He's identifying he's lazy.
I need
Let's
to
reframe
change that.
You
So
are
how do I
getting-
reframe that? I was a lazy person.
And good. Awesome.
Okay, there we go.
There you go. Breakthrough on this podcast already.
I think hopefully people can relate to what I'm about to say, but like when I played footy, I was always gave my all 100% every training session. I was always in the top 5-10 runners. I'd always push myself. In games, I would always, like, we used to wear GPSs playing footy. Like I would always be one of the top people running. So I love working hard. And like the camps, I would complain pretty much the least when it comes to like that aspect. We did like boot camps with like actual ex-SAS blokes. But what I found so weird was when I quit footy, I stopped running and doing all that stuff. And thinking about it, it's because I'm willing to give my full energy into something like sport related like that when there's like a set time, structure, and a coach, you know, coach is there. You're trying to play, getting the best team possible to play footy. You're trying to work hard. You're trying to improve yourself. So when that goes away and you're just running for exercise, to me, it doesn't make sense in my head. It's like I train hard to play footy on the weekend to win a premiership. That's like how it works around. That's why I go to the gym all the time. But then when that ended and I was like, you exercise to keep yourself healthy, that didn't register much for me. So what I found was actually having this goal of the marathon actually, which is why I suggest people to actually get a goal of like, do a 5K race. There's 5K races every 2 weeks. Like having a goal to work towards also helps as well to get that process of it working.
100%.
To identify.
Well, structure is a very important thing for a lot of people, not for everyone. But one good thing that Ayrton often says is, you know, schedule. Like when you want to do something, when you want to add a hobby, like we talked about it before, we talked about scheduling your hobbies, because structure is, truth be told, is very important for a lot of people, and it's very necessary.
Structure creates freedom. Like if you want more in life, it's weird. Like if you structure your life,
it's paradoxical. Yeah,
it's like structure your life. But then I'm like trapped. But no. It creates freedom because then you're not trapped in your mind.
Yeah.
Like this is like one of the, like this is talking about calendar wise. Like I've been using calendar for the last 4 years, and like anytime I work with a new client, I'm like, do you schedule your time in? And if they say no, I instantly know that like they're going to complain about not having time. But everyone has the same amount of hours a day. And this is like, you're making this marathon, you're making time for it now. Like you and you said before, you said, but like it's this extra 6 hours worth of work a week. But you know, you've made time for it. And like, it's an excuse that people say, I don't have time to do. But if you like really look at it and you schedule it, create that structure, you will have time for it. And you make it a priority. It'll start to create different elements of your life where you get freedom back. It's interesting. Like, it's like, you know, even for me, like because I structure my week so well and I structure my health into there. Like I used to think I didn't have time for the gym. And even an excuse I've come up with recently, which I've been working on myself, is I'm like, I don't have time to meal prep. So you know what I said to myself? I said, that's absolute bullshit. I looked at my calendar and I scheduled it into my calendar and I did my meal prep. And guess what? Sent a message to my coach today. I was like, it really does help meal prepping, doesn't it? It makes it so much easier. Like, as I was making the excuse that I wasn't following my meal plan because I hadn't meal prepped, but I scheduled in, then I did it, and then now it's given me more time back because like I literally go to the freezer, I grab my berry shake that's already in my package, put it into the thing, blend it. Takes me less than 2 minutes. It used to take me half an hour just to make the one thing. Now it's like less than 2 minutes. I got my protein shake and I can get back to work.
It actually frees up more time.
Yeah. So like that's where it's just where it's like leading with you're making time for this marathon. You don't really have time. You don't need to do it, but you're making it a priority. But it's freeing up so much other areas of your life, which sounds weird because you've added something else into your life, but it's actually freeing up a lot more, giving you more clarity. It's the same with like me adding health into my daily routine. It's an extra thing I added on. I was just doing the half an hour walk. I did now do it in the evening. I'll do it in the evening now. Now I've added gym in there 4 times a week. And I still like I have more time now and I feel better because of it. And even with the meal prep now, it's like just adding those little small things creates freedom in different areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, and with that as well, like, you have to offer different levels of commitment. There's like,
you can't just rush
there's
into
like
it
public,
too.
there's like, no, I was in like, not just like for marathons, but for dieting, food. You got to, like, there's different levels of commitment. And what I mean by that is, firstly, let's use my marathon, for example. I used a public commitment, told all my friends I was going to do it on this date. I set a date when I was going to do it. That's another commitment to ourselves to form the habit. I financially committed to it because I paid for a nutritionist.
Yep.
I was fortunate enough to have some advice from actual marathon runners and people who were running for free. But I actually went and spent all this money and booked an hour for 2 different calls for a nutritionist. So I actually got a meal plan, went and bought all this food. Well, mum helped me buy the food, but but still. So there's different levels of commitment you can do. But the biggest one is mainly to yourself. I think that's one of the most important things. And actually saying you're going to do something and then doing it. Because it's very easy to, you know, sit around with some friends and just be like, you know what, I'm gonna do this goal. Like, and because you're in such a comfortable mood. And you're like, yeah, that's easy. But then when it comes to actually doing the work, it's so different. So you got to have, you know, something bigger that you're committed to, or like a greater cause. Because if it's just, you know, if you don't have much commitment or much purpose towards it, then you're not going to follow through 100%.
100%.
Yeah,
That's
well,
for everything in life.
Yeah, it's awesome. And you committed to it. And indeed, it's coming up on Sunday, yeah?
This
Looking forward
Sunday,
to it.
yeah.
Sunday, yes. That's awesome.
So
And
it's
here
4
we
days.
are. You've had you're going through 30 days of training, and now here we are, and you're about to realize that goal. So great success.
Thanks,
Looking
man.
forward to
It's
seeing
good.
it.
Yeah, you'll be there, won't you? But you're both there, aren't you?
I'll be there.
I'll be there. I'll run a lap.
I'll catch.
Just the one lap.
I'll
you're going
catch-
to bring my
I'll
time
catch the
down.
train, mate.
No,
I'll
just joking.
I'll travel all the way down here just to see you run in circles, mate.
It's going to be fun. And I've also cut alcohol for it. So we're going to I got to hydrate first, and then we'll have I got to have a beer after, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Beer and a big
I've been
fat pub feed.
we've been talking about the health this whole time, but Blake has been out of action this
Yeah,
last
I've
month.
cut alcohol.
I have had to cut alcohol because of Blake. no one to go out and drink.
I got to be honest, you haven't.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's got you.
All right, I
came out sober once, and it
Yeah,
was like,
All right,
kind
there
of
was
boring.
1 week that I asked Blake and he didn't happen.
I came out. I didn't dog the boys. Like, I was Saturday night.
No,
I
this
was
was
out.
last week. We
I
talked about
drove
last
you
week.
guys, and I was
Yeah.
just standing there sober with my soda water.
He has been good, but anyway, he's lowered my alcohol consumption this month.
You've been,
by doing this
you've
marathon.
been trying to feed me everything you would give to Blake. I'm like,
Yeah.
stop, please.
Anyway,
I'm
we're
just like these drunk idiots. All these drunk
Anyway,
people.
that is it for today's episode. Thanks, Blake, for being a co-host, but also a guest today. I know this marathon's a massive thing, and we've covered off a lot today and really delved deep into some really interesting things with your commitment level and obviously taking action. I'm looking forward to the marathon. I know, Colby, you're looking forward to it.
Man, I'm super excited for it. Like, I'm massively stoked for you, and I'm definitely gonna run a good few laps. I will not be able to do the marathon with you.
Sure.
I certainly have not trained to that level, but I'd love to run a few laps with you, and I'm super excited. And basically, I'm just really proud of you. You've done really well.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I really appreciate that. It's been a
Sure.
tough journey. I found out a lot about myself, and I'm super excited that all my friends will be there as well.
Yeah, well done. Well, awesome.
Awesome. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Hope you got some value out of this. If you did, drop a comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube. And make sure you follow and subscribe, like all those things. You know those things.
Yeah, you know
make
what's
sure you go
up.
check out Blake, because if you are listening to this right now and it's before the marathon, go check him out. Either way, he'll have his video documenting the journey. He's been documenting the whole thing on his Instagram and his TikTok. So go check out Blake. Should be some links below. But anyway, guys, that's it for this episode. Look forward to seeing you in the next one.
Peace out.
Peace.